Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian, and today we're taking a look at a U.S. military trials pistol. But this is a trials pistol that was tested in 1917 and 1918, and not actually as part of the rather large 1907 pistol trials. This is a Hammond automatic pistol. Like I said, these were manufactured in 1917. The designer was a guy named Grant Hammond, who was an engineer and chemist and inventor. He apparently worked for Winchester for a time, and then during World War I, he actually owned a manufacturing company that was making aircraft engine parts. Well, he spent some time tinkering with pistols and submitted a number of pistol patents. In fact, his first guns were actually .32 caliber gas-operated blow-forward pistols. I had the chance to take a look at a prototype one of those a while back, and if you're interested, you can check out that video. Well, he decided to bring his pistol up to the .45 caliber and develop a version that he thought would be suitable for military service. So he designed the gun, and in 1917 he contacted the U.S. Ordnance Department to say that basically, I have this .45 that I think is better than the 1911, and you guys should check it out. Well, they did take a look. They did an initial test, sent an ordnance major down to the Grant Hammond factory to try one out. He came back saying it had maybe some shortcomings, but it was a fantastically accurate pistol. So on the value of that report, they went ahead and did some further testing on the guns in 1918. The guns were tested at Camp Perry by the Army. They were also tested twice by the U.S. Navy, including a couple of endurance tests. The Army did a 5,000 round endurance test, which did suffer. During that test, the pistol suffered 154 malfunctions, including a number of broken parts, which would turn out to be kind of the general problem with the Hammond automatic. Now, this is actually a second variation of the gun. The very first ones had an interesting feature where when you fired the last round, the bolt would lock open and it would automatically kick the magazine out for you. That sounded like a good idea to Hammond. It wasn't actually quite so much. The Army wasn't a big fan of that. So he modified the guns to instead, they actually have a plunger in here, we'll take a look at that in a moment, that when you hit the magazine release, they kick the magazine out about an inch. So you don't have to try and pry the magazine out, it does punch it out that far for you, and then you can easily grab it and remove it all the way. Now in total, 18 of these pistols were made. Less than 10 of them were of that first auto-ejecting variety, although I don't know exactly how many. This particular one is serial number 10. We know that number 9 was also one of these modified second pattern guns. It is a short recoil system, so let me cock the hammer here. Obviously single action, exposed hammer, and short recoil, so when you fire, the whole barrel and bolt assembly recoils back this far, locked together. And then the locking mechanism is actually a vertically traveling plunger back in here. So what happens is when this recoils back, the plunger is pushed up into the bolt out of contact with its locking shoulder in the frame, and at that point the bolt can cycle open like so. The guns were quite accurate. They were well made. The problem is they did have continuous, and they were plagued by problems with broken locking plungers and locking plunger arms. They had some trouble with the extractor springs. Grant Hammond just wasn't quite able to get this gun into military reliability. So on this pistol, at least, it does also have, it's got this interesting functionality where if we have an empty magazine in the gun, it does not lock open. But if I eject the magazine out, now it will lock open. And if I lock the magazine, when I fully seat the magazine, it actually automatically closes the bolt for me, like so. So kind of an interesting feature set. These are rather large pistols. They're certainly a lot more bulky than a 1911, and handling one and reading the Army and Navy reports, it's kind of clear why the military did not end up replacing the 1911 with this, or really giving this any serious consideration towards replacing the 1911. But as a 18 production US military trials pistol, they are pretty cool and have a definite collector cachet. There's our safety, by the way. That locks the trigger completely. It's down, we can fire. All right, let's take a quick look at that magazine ejection plunger. It is under the grip frame here, or the grip panel. I've already taken the screw out. If you are removing the grips on a Grant Hammond, you do have to pull this safety all the way up, or else you will chip the edge of the grip off. Then let's take the magazine out, kind of pry it out from underneath. Right, so there's the magazine off. This is our spring. There's a hook up here that grabs the top of the magazine. So we can't actually see a whole lot of, or we can't see this actually functioning from this side. But when the magazine's all the way in, it pulls a spring up here, and when you release the maggot, that spring helps punch it out. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Not very often you get a chance to check out a Grant Hammond 45. So if you enjoyed this, make sure to tune back in to ForgottenWeapons.com for more US Army test pistols.